Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. My name is Jose. I am a golden in Kendo, and today we're going to be talking about Kendo, watch some Kendo videos. So if you have any questions, if you have any comments or any concerns, please let me know in the chat. I hope you enjoy this and we all get to learn something today. Uh, sorry. If Butterfly Official, thank you for passing by. Thank you for saying hello. If you could let me know, people, where you're watching from, I still figuring out, trying to figure out when are the best times for me to do the streams. Where are the, um, some of the best options that I can do for the stream. And if you see any mistakes, any lack of sound or video, please let me know so I can fix it as quick as possible. I'm still figuring out the setup that I have going on here. I forgot to do this today, but if you didn't know, we have a Discord server that you can feel free to pass by, check it out, meet some new Kendo people. The link is in the chat. Let me do that. Let me pin it up. It's completely free, and it's a good way if you want to send a message, if you want to get in contact with me, you can do so there. And it's the best. Butterfly, I said hi back. I don't know if you uh is everything okay? So yeah, I said hello back. Sorry if I wasn't clear. Yeah, so we have the Discord server up in the chat. Feel free to pass by. After this stream, I'm doing my members only stream where I share a little bit behind the scene of what I'm doing, what I'm going through in my Kendo training. If you have any videos you want to send me that you want me to review, it's a little bit more personal, like a little bit more of like what's happening and how I'm preparing for my Rokudan test as well. So feel free to pass by, check out the perks of being a member, and if you can support the channel, it's really appreciated because I'm planning to do new things with the channel. So I hope your support is really helpful, and but if not, also enjoy it because being here it's a good help. Um, so let me just say this. I also want to start doing whether it's a segment on the stream about what Kendo is to make it more beginner friendly for people that don't know about Kendo. That's one of the plans. That's one of the ideas that I have that I've been having lately. Let me know your thoughts. I appreciate that because I'm still trying to figure out what the format will be to make it interesting. Because Kendo is a little bit hard to watch, I think sometimes. Um, it, it's it has a lot of details that maybe if you don't know the rules, if you don't know what's happening, it can be a little bit boring, I guess. And I'll appreciate your input just to make it a little bit more engaging. Um Butterfly, you subscribe too. Thank you very much. I appreciate the sub. Yeah, we keep growing in the channel, and I hope that we can bring up a couple more uh a little bit more diversity for the stream and the videos as well. So if you have any suggestions, please let me know. Um, so today I have two videos that we've been watching lately in the streams, and I I think they're really good for analyzing building up to the higher levels of Kendo, but it takes an approach from I want to take an approach from the early concepts and how you can evolve them. So let's do this real quick. I have this video here that we've been watching, and let me just go to the right page. And here we have a sensei and a student practicing together. So there are cool elements that we can take advantage of to watch in order to build up our kendo and to build up our skill. But also I have a Shiai video that let's watch a couple of exchanges here and see what can we learn here and pick up a good um, some good segments. Omer, thank you for passing by. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Okay, I wanna bring up this point, something that there's a sensei that I practice with at the dojo, and the one thing that he's always been telling me since I came into the dojo is make your form, keep your form, and always is about form. And one of the things that I like here from this exchange to see, if you see Maeda on the red, which is on the left side, his posture, you see he's trying to stay straight throughout the exchange, and that allows him to be in good balance, to take advantage of the fact that his opponent threw a technique, but he was kind of not fully committed, right? So in that little moment that he had, he was able to bring the sword around and connect a very nice hit against his opponent. You see, it's all of it because he's having good balance, I think. And if you watch, let me just make sure that the screen looks proper and correct. Okay. So if you watch, guys, here on the way that his feet are, when his opponent hits forward, you see, when his opponent hit forward, Maeda went backwards, right? And in a way, he kind of leaned back, which is not one thing that you want to rely on, right? But at the same time, he's keeping his feet grounded, allowing him, especially the forward foot, to push back in order to get the distance and a good energy into his strike. So it's very solid. It's a very good exchange, I think, and it's a good way to start understanding how you can produce power, whether you're going forward, you're going back. Maeda's on the red. He didn't get Nippon on this one. He didn't score on this one. But if you watch again his footwork and his posture, right? Look how he throws his body forward with the back leg. So you see, he brings his back leg, he anchors it. Okay, he brings his back leg back, but holds his weight with the back leg, and he's pretty much just holding his weight with that leg and pushing forward in order to make the body go forward. And he's putting pretty much all the weight that he has and the energy he built up with the back leg into that moment, into the strike. Um, whether the judges didn't give him the point because of the angle where he hit, or maybe they just didn't feel it was strong enough to be considered ippon. Um, that's the decision of the judges. But the fact is that he had a good engagement of his body, and especially for testing, this is something that is very visual for the judges. Can you use your whole body in your attack? So a lot of times we just do the hands, or worse yet, we kind of just bring the hands down to try to get a good impact. But here you can see that he has good engagement with the body, and the arms are relaxed, right? Like there's no tension on the arms. Watch at the moment when he makes contact with the kote, it's coming from the use of the wrist, the use of the proper position of the hands, and the arms are relaxed. He's not really putting force into it because a lot of the impact is coming from the body. This is something that maybe can be counterintuitive at the beginning, especially when we want to get a sharper strike or a stronger sound, because we think that maybe we just have to hit harder, we just have to put more power. But in reality, comes together from your footwork, your tenouchi being proper, and the position of your hands on the shinai. So understanding how the left hand and the right hand work together to create that smooth motion and the sharpness at the end is very important, I think. But then you also have to make sure that you give a lot of focus on the footwork in order to have power on your strike. Don't put power from your hands. That's my kendo tip, I guess. Wow. That was a really good kaeshi though. So, oh, there's a lot to unpack on this one. Okay, I think that the secret to have a good kaeshi do, and how do I say this? I think the biggest misconception that people have about kaeshi do is that you have to wait for the person to come in. You have to kind of just hope that the person comes for men so you can do your technique. That I think is what you want to avoid. Instead, you want to provoke the person to come for men. So if you watch what's happening here, the white player on the right, he starts closing the distance with very short footwork, with very short steps. And as he does that, he's still trying to keep the engagement forward. He's still trying to put pressure. The red player is going backwards. And as he does that, the white player keeps putting pressure forward, almost kind of pressuring him in having to do something different because he doesn't hold back. He keeps coming forward. And on top of that, he's kind of threatening the man. It's a little bit uncomfortable for him to do kote because it's hard for him to now bring the sword around to hit that kote in that angle. So at some point, he feels that he has an opportunity to go forward for men, and immediately white player switches around to go for that Kayashido. I don't think has the prettiest form for Kayashido, but that's not necessarily obviously to get an Ippon. But when it comes to the fact that he put the pressure, he made him want to come for men, that's the number one thing you want to start practicing the good timing for your Kayashido. You cannot wait for it to happen. You have to kind of pressure, you have to invite the person to come in for men. And okay, so this was interesting. It kind of uh so this been the same match, right? So this is the last Ippon here. So hmm let's break it down a little bit. So there's a lot of mm, at this level of kendo, and these players are very athletic. So a lot of the times you're gonna see attacks from a very far distance, right? And I was talking about this on the stream last week, but when you're attacking from a far distance, a lot of times you want to avoid doing a very compact attack, and you want to make sure that you kind of do like a sharp entry to get a reaction so you have the opening to go for that technique. So maybe that's what start happening at the beginning here, where you see there's a little bit of that opening that the white player tried to do. He tried to come in from a little bit far distance. So if you watch here, white player makes a sharp entry and then tries to come in for a man, but maybe he had in his mind, I'm gonna go for this. So he was prepared to go forward, and he maybe wasn't expecting the fact that the player on the left, kind of held back that pressure and didn't give him a big opening, a big reaction. So he kind of made him hesitate, I think. So maybe also the red player was kind of waiting for that Kaeshi to do the Kaeshi Waza, but because he was prime in a good position for doing do, I think he went for it and was able to get that do um, after that. So it's one of those things that a lot of times we want to, okay, in textbook, you want to make the opponent make a mistake, but it's going to happen sometimes that the opponent themselves make the mistake, and you have to take advantage and you have to adapt to that situation. So I think this could have been one of those where the adaptation was the key of getting that point, but there was a good interaction before as well. So I don't think, if I'm gonna like study this as communication, I don't think there was so much communication to put that pressure. A lot of it maybe was reaction, but still the understanding of the distances and how to come in and the different things that you can do to create a nippon are happening there and happening naturally as well. I don't know if that makes sense. So there's a lot happening there, even though it was such a short amount of time, I think. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Wow. Okay, this is a great exchange, I think. Um, a lot of times doing Kaeshido against a Jodan player is a little bit difficult because they come in with so much momentum that the distance sometimes is not the best for you to be able to do a clean Kaeshido. That being said, it's not that you cannot do it, and I think this is a good example for it. And as I have mentioned before, you want to create the opportunity for the Kaishido by pressuring the opponent and making them come for men instead of waiting for that to happen. So if you watch what happened here, Kunitomo in on the left, the red player on the left, is coming in close in the distance, coming with a sharp entry, creating pressure, and they feel that now the white player has to do something. And when they come in to throw the technique, he was already ready to come down to hit that Kaeshido. Now, something to be mindful of when you're fighting Jordan players, you want to avoid bringing your hands up so much because they can give you they can hit you with monote kote, right? Like the opening for the kote becomes that much more available to them. But the fact that he came in so quick and he came in as he was trying to go for man, maybe that's what made the white player say, okay, I have to come in and attack for man, because he could have tried to go for the kote as well, and maybe things would have been a little bit different. But nonetheless, he gave him the opening for the Kaeshido. Now, one thing that I'm going to say that sometimes happens often to people is that when you try to do this type of approach, we tend to put so much tension in the upper body that most of us, we tend to start leaning forward, start breaking up our form. If you watch how Kunitomo in the left is close in the distance, he is coming in with good posture, right? He's keeping his back straight, he's keeping his back leg engaged, and even when he receives the man and throws the do, he's still trying to keep good posture, engaging the back leg, engaging the hips in order to go around and get a sharp strike. And especially because of the distance, he needs to make sure that he keeps that in mind. So This is something that you want to keep in mind when you are approaching your opponent, when you're trying to invite somebody for technique. Don't tense up so much on the top. Don't try to lean forward. Don't try to rush in with your upper body. Try to keep your good posture and bring both of your legs engaged to go forward. Wow, very, very nice. Very nice exchange here. Mm. So, as I mentioned in my stream last week, and I mentioned earlier today too, is that when you're attacking from far, you don't want to just attack with nothing happening before. And because when you're far away, you still have to um, you know, catch the distance and you catch up to the opponent with the distance, and you still have to overcome all the time that's going to take you to get to your target. Um, it's a lot of times better to do a bigger motion. And Katsugi Waza, in this case, I think served that purpose for a couple of reasons. So he came in and he did that big motion, and what that did is not only maybe from the communication before, it caused the opponent to go for men, but because of the motion, maybe caused the opponent to throw the sword on the side rather than straight on the center. So he was able to cut through the middle and get that man thanks to that Katsugi. So a lot of times, when I see people trying Katsugi Waza, they go and do it waiting for the reaction to then go. When you're doing this, a lot of times it works better if you start your motion first. As you do it, you get the opening and then immediately have the opening for your technique. If he would have done the Katsugi Waza to then start moving forward, he would have not been able to get there on time in order to get that Ippon. But here, because he was moving his Shinai at the same time that he was closing the distance, it allowed him to get that opening and then get to his target with a good timing. Right? If we watch here, if you watch here, he's lifting the foot off the ground, and as he's moving the body forward, the Katsugi motion is happening. And then when he pushes with the Fumikiri, he's also throwing the sword forward to get the strike. So this is, I think, a lot of times very important to keep in mind that you want to get the leg engagement. You want to start moving your body before you throw the technique, before you do the things with your hands. So this happens a lot of time also for techniques like haraiwaza, makiwaza as well. All of these techniques that require you to move your sword to get that opening, a lot of times what you want to do is you want to move your body, start moving your body as you start engaging the hands, and then throw the technique with your fumikiri. So it allows you to get the opening and gives you a good timing and good distance to get the proper strike and get your ippon. I hope that makes sense. I hope that's clear. Guys, if you're enjoying the stream, by the way, please make sure to hit the like button. It lets me know that you're enjoying this and it helps the stream be pushed out to more people. Also, please, if you could let me know where you're watching from, just so I can get an idea uh, of where everybody's at. I'm in Japan right now, by the way. So if you happen to pass by Osaka, let me know. Maybe we can get a practice together. Okay. Hmm. So watch this. Watch the attack that White is doing here. So it wasn't successful, and it could have been in a very dangerous position. And I'm going to talk about this specifically too for testing. For your test, what you want to try to train for yourself at the dojo is that if you miss a technique, you should look like you landed it, right? Your body and your posture and your continuation after you attack should not change. It should be the same. And a couple of pointers to make that happen here. So, white player, he throws the technique, he does his fumikomi, does everything. He doesn't hold back, even though maybe at this point he already saw that he wasn't gonna get the strike, right? But then what happens right after the fumikomi is very important. You want to bring your body forward. You want to keep that motion. And one pointer that I was giving at the dojo is that it's almost that you want to try to stick your belly to your opponent after the strike. So the fumikomi should bring you forward, and you shouldn't um, hold yourself back. Instead, you should bring yourself forward. So a lot of times when we do that fumikomi, many times we use it as a way to kind of stop us rather than allow us to go forward. So keep that in mind, especially if you're preparing for testing. You want to look the same when you miss as if you when you strike. And of course, like he readjusts and he tries to get back. This is Shiai, this is not testing. Maybe for testing will look a little bit different. Not that much, by the way, but you want to make sure that when you miss, you still have continuation after your technique. And what that does for Shiai purposes is that it allows you to end up in a much safer place. Because if he would have stopped himself, maybe his opponent would have been able to do something and get a technique against him. Okay, hope that makes sense. Great exchange here too. Wow. Okay. So obviously something you want to keep in mind. You want to be careful not to lower your guard after you got hit. Okay. Um. So I want to switch up to the other video I have prepared for you guys. Sorry, guys. Let me get some water. Okay. Um. As I mentioned before, I am preparing myself for Rokudan, and a big goal that I have for my Kendo right now is fix a lot of the bad habits and mistakes that I've been building up throughout the years. And one of the things that I feel that it's different from my Kendo, um, from Japanese Kendo, it's just like the way we launch and the way that we engage into a technique. So just to give you a little bit of context for that, and I'm going to talk about this more on my next stream as well, on the members stream. But when I was learning Kendo, and a lot of the times, a lot of the years that I spent building up my beginner Kendo uh, curriculum, I guess, whatever, um, there was a lot of focus in two main things. One, it's having a louder fumikomi, and two, it's having a longer reach. So turns out that those two things, the dojo where I've been practicing for almost 2 years now, it's the things that they actually want me to move away from. And not that you don't want to focus on the sound of your fumikomi, for example, but it shouldn't be about making it louder, but it should be more about getting the right sound because that means landing properly on the foot. Now, about the reach, um, as we mentioned earlier, right? Um, actually, maybe I mentioned it the last stream. Sorry, guys. You want to find the proper distance, and also you want to play around with the distance. But a lot of times, you're not gonna be attacking from a place where you have to really push your reach. So you're going to attack mostly mostly from this point until this point, because even as you're attacking, as you're pushing pressure before you actually engage in your technique, most likely your opponent is also going to start moving forward. So that's going to make the distance that you need to travel much shorter. And attacking, for me, for example, attacking at a shorter distance with power has become more challenging than attacking at a longer distance. So, and a big point that I noticed and I've been instructed into is that you want to make sure that the back leg is the one driving the force, and you're connecting that with your hips, with your core, then with your arms, your wrist, and then your shinai. So upper body should be relaxed and lower body should be the one engaged. So I found this section on the video that we've been watching in the stream that I hopefully kind of illustrate a lot of these points. You know you enjoy it. Okay, so let me just forward a little bit to the spot where it was. Sorry, around here. Shamir, saludos de Venezuela. De nada, cualquier cosa que necesiten me avisan. Okay. Um, Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. Um, if you watch here, you can see that the player on the right, he's very fast, right? He's very athletic, and he's having a um, very good engagement on how he throws his body. And let me mention something here. I mentioned about your core, your hips, and your back legs. If you watch here, he's using the back leg to push forward, and he's making contact after his foot leaves the ground. Sometimes too, you can make contact when your foot is on the ground still, with your back foot is on the ground, but that back foot has to be pushing forward because that's what's creating momentum and creating power into your shinai, right? But he's making sure that his body is pretty much the weight of the shinai, the weight of the body is transferring into the shinai, so he gets a sharp impact, and then the fumikomi lands in to bring him forward, right? And if you can see, compared to the sensei on the left, his posture kind of suffers, right? If you watch the moment he lands, his body it's a little bit kind of like this, right? Like it's a little bit leaning forward. That's okay. And that's something that if you have the good habit of your back leg, that's easy to fix. But if your focus is going to be to throw the shinai forward and to hit and to be so eager to hit fast, that is going to be much harder because then also a lot of other problems are going to start happening. Now, um, as fast as this guy is, and he's the one that came in to give that, to start the engagement, he was behind, right? If you watch the sensei, he does a much smaller attack. Watch this. He pretty much hits on place, right? And catches the opponent much earlier, right? Not much earlier, it's a little bit earlier, but it's enough. So why do you think this happened? How is this possible, right? And it goes to the point where I was saying that when you're traveling a farther distance, it takes time for you to get there, but his opponent, it's engaged. His opponent is mindful of what's happening, and he's if you watch, as he's closing the distance, he's not rushing into a technique, but instead he's just starting to lean his body forward, start pushing his body forward, and in the right moment, when he's at the right distance and when he sees the opening, he comes in with the attack, right? So it's one of those things that you can only learn it through constant practice with other people, but you want to make sure that you don't focus so much about the speed and the strength and the length of your attack, because a lot of those things can be overcome with good technique and good timing. So um this is one of the things that became extremely clear practicing here in Japan, because with less effort, my opponents are getting better results, if that makes any sense, right? So if you watch here, there's a lot of things that mm, when we watch this video, maybe your your idea or your thought will be to copy or to like learn more from the guy on the left, the guy on the right, because he's more athletic, he's faster, he's strong kendo, but there's a lot of things happening there that it's not so easy to acquire. And even though that he's doing great kendo, there's also a couple of things that if you copy them, um maybe are gonna lead to bad habits. Like for example, if you watch his back leg is bent. uh Normally people do this to be more explosive, to be faster, to be it's a more athletic type of kendo, and on top of that, the width between his feet is wider, so it allows him to kind of close the distance a little bit more without disengaging the back leg. So it's part of kendo. It's a technique. It's a way of doing it. But again, when we try to copy it, we need to make sure that we copy it on the right context, with the right context, and we understand what's happening so we can use it at the right times. Because as we can see, the sensei on the left, he has a much narrower kamae, a much more conservative stance, but he's, I think, much more engaged into the fight, if that makes any sense. So, a friend of mine actually messaged me, I think it was like about 2 weeks back, telling me that he watched my Godan testing, and he mentioned the fact that, it looked like I was engaged. And I thought about that because one of the tips that I got before going into my Shinsa was make sure that your match is not boring, right? Like the judges, when they're watching you, they're not being like, okay, I seen this. It's like it's same thing happening, or there's nothing happening, and then they become bored. You want to make sure that you are giving them something to look at, right? To keep them engaged. If they're engaged, they're going to be much more likely to like your kendo and to help you pass, right? Or to, to approve you, not to help you. But uh if you watch the guy on the left, even though that he's not moving as much as the guy on the right, he's ready and he's showing it by how he's coming in. So I guess I ramble a lot about one simple thing, but I think it's very important, especially if you're trying to uh, improve your kendo past that athletic level, because that athleticism has its place. I'm not saying that don't do it, don't practice it, but understand it and try to build up your kendo in different aspects so you can overcome the challenges depending on who your opponent is going to be, right? Because there will always be somebody more athletic, and then maybe you can beat them up with technique, and there's somebody maybe that have, strong center, maybe they have good timing, but then you can use a combination of your physical strength and your technique. So there's all things that you can vary to overcome the challenge that you have in front of you. So, and that's one of the beautiful things for me for kendo. Oh, I don't think. Okay, hold on. I don't think he mentioned it. Okay, he didn't mention this. He didn't mention this here, but I watched it in another part of the video. When he does this, when the student on the right does his technique, look how he's sticking to the partner. So um that can be, for Shiai, it can be helpful. It can be, especially if you thought you scored, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to say that this shows proper sanction, because yes, you're showing that continuation, you're still showing in a way kind of an engagement, but at some point it kind of starts becoming a kind of like a performance rather than the action that you're trying to look for, which is being engaged with your opponent. So what you want to do is that if the opponent is not getting out of the way, you want to go through, right? So you want to stick to the opponent if you feel that they're about to do something, but you want to do it in a way that allows you to be ready for another technique. So, which, I think is something that we need to practice a lot. So, same thing here, right? So what's happening here, and I think this is very common as well in kendo. You see, there's a lot of clear on the left. There's a lot of movement, right? The hands are moving, the shinai, the tip of the shinai is moving, but there's no, look at all the motion that the person on the left is doing, but there's not really any movement of the shinai of the sensei, right? The shinai is still in the center. There's nothing happening here. There's a lot of movement, but there's not really anything happening. So sensei starts putting action, right? And he's keeping the sword going to the center of his student. He's keeping the sword there, and it's very relaxed. So what happens? Look what happens before he decides to go. The shinai becomes more still. So sensei is already getting a cue, a clue. Okay, he's about to do something different. Now he wants to move. So of course, because sensei is already engaged, his kamae is solid. What he does is that he puts a little bit more pressure. He starts priming his body to go forward, leaning into it, and then engage into a technique very sharply, very small, while his student had to go a longer distance, right? So these are all the things you want to start keeping in mind if you're working on leveling up your kendo. So to me, obviously depending on the level of kendo that the person on the left will be being judged, it feels that there's a lot of movement, but there's no really communication, right? There you're hmm, okay. I want to talk about seme in my next video, in my next stream, but I'll bring up something very quickly here. Um, from here to here, you can pressure your opponent into getting a reaction, but it's hard to invite them to do something that you can counter. For example, even to do the banawasa, um, it's a little bit harder to do it from this distance. So Once you start getting here, passing that distance, this is the part where you're going to want to start inviting the opponent to do something so that way you can take advantage of the fact that you know that they're coming. Okay. So if you watch here at this point, maybe the person on the left is wanting to invite the opponent, but because he's not moving in, he's not closing the distance, there's nothing that the person on the right needs to really be worrying about or feeling pressure about. So when he decides to start going forward, the problem that he had is that, he changed his pattern, so he's obvious that he's going to attack. So again, he's not trying to invite the person to come in to do something and instead just rushing in to attack. Right? He just nothing happened and he went in. Where the person on the right, he is patiently waiting, keeping the center, and most importantly, keeping his legs engaged. So when his opponent gives him the clue that he's coming in, he starts priming his body. Again, at this point, he doesn't need to go, right? But he puts the pressure, he's priming his body, and when the opponent tells him, okay, I'm gonna go, he's already ready to execute the technique, and that's why he's getting it there earlier. Now, mind you, this is a sensei and student role. So the person on the right, he's not really trying to get an ippon, he's trying to challenge the student to come in and to work on this communication. And what that does is, of course, both both attackers are coming in with an honest attack, right? There's no okay, osai, there's no trickery. It's just trying to go forward. This is also a very important practice when it comes to leveling up your kendo. It's not that you have to only go for men. You can go for other techniques, right? But at some point, challenging each other and going for men, trying to do this practice, I think will bring your kendo at a higher level. Because if both of you know where you're going, now it becomes a timing thing, it becomes a communication thing, and start developing all these other aspects of kendo. Let me know what you think, by the way. So, watch this one for example. Why the person on the right attack? You see, he attacked because Sensei on the left started the interaction. He closed the distance. He invited him. So even though that he's letting him come in to attack, he's also letting him know that he's the one starting the engagement. And I'm sure this happens often at the dojo, right? Maybe you see it often. Maybe whether it's you or people around you, this happens often. Kiai, very important as well, right? It's a big part of kendo as well. By the way, let me just say this before we close things here. That why do you think kiai is important? A lot of times we put focus on doing kiai, doing stronger kiai, but why do we do it? For me, one of the things that I notice that when I have good kiai, I'm able to push out my energy into my technique. A lot of times when I'm holding my breath, when my ki is weak, my form suffers, my posture suffers, and I just kind of, you know, uh, the energy goes down. But when you're pushing with your diaphragm, when you're pushing your ki and pushing with all the muscles in your core, it helps you stay in position, stay with good posture, and have a good follow through, and lets you just put that much more energy into your attacks. But let me know if you actually, what are your challenges when it comes to ki. Guys, if you haven't, please take a second, hit the like button on on the stream. It really helps the stream get pushed out to more people. Today, I did a bad job at letting people know in Discord that I was doing the stream. I did it last minute. I think I did it like right before or right when I started the stream. But feel free to check out the link on the top of the chat, and that's where the Discord server is at. It's completely free. There's a bunch of Kendo people there that if you're traveling around the world, you can meet new people, meet new friends, or you can talk about Kendo there. You can contact me and send me a message if you would like to, talk about Kendo, or if you have any questions, any problems that you're dealing with. And yeah, so thank you very much, everybody, for passing by. I'm doing now, after this stream, the member stream, where I share a lot of my behind the scenes on my training here in Japan, some of the things that I've been learning, and the advices that I've been getting weekly. So if you would like to support the channel, you can pass by and watch the stream, because it has a couple of extra things that hopefully gives you a good insight on how I'm training and some of the training here in Japan. So also, if you would like to send me a video or any questions that you might have, you can also do it there so we can review it together. It's a little bit more private, a little bit more engaging as well. So again, thank you very much for passing by. I'll catch you guys next week, and let me know if you have any questions, concern, or if you have suggestions. Okay, take care, everybody. Have a good one. Thank you for passing by.